This is episode number 873 of the Inner Fight podcast. In this week's 5 Minute Mondays, we bring you how and where to get started in the sport of CrossFit. He was here last week. He is back this week. Toby, tell us, we had all the stats. We're all fired up. How do we get started?
Yeah, so especially this time of year, right? A lot of our fitness goals, journeys, ideas are often kind of intimidating, often overthought, overplanned. Everyone's waiting for the right time, right place, right person, right minute. But to be honest, I think obviously it's easy from my standpoint to just say, just get involved straight away.
Yeah.
But I think that the toughest part is walking through the door, right? We have a lot of members that come and say that. And then once they're here, there's no looking back. And I think that's the same with getting started in your CrossFit journey. Just take that step and be brave. And I really think doing the Open is the number one step. You can get involved in the sport of fitness, racing, CrossFit, high rocks, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Is just doing the Open, right? It's an online leaderboard. You're accountable to standards. You're around a great community. It's great workouts. If you do it in an affiliate, it's coached, scalable.
Do you remember
safe.
your first, was it a CrossFit Open workout? The first time you did a competitive workout outside of a class, because obviously they're all competitive anyway.
Yeah, always.
Outside of a class, mate, do you remember when you sort of did a workout in a gym that was timed and that was for real?
Yeah, loved it. It was, I think the workout was 19.1, the AMRAP of calorie row and wall balls.
Right.
Yeah.
How were you feeling before it?
Way too overcaffeinated, overstimulated. I think I shaved my head before the workout.
Blood glucose off the chart.
I wasn't overthinking anything there.
Really?
Yeah.
So you went through everything that everyone goes to, and that's what I want to put over to people. If you are feeling nervous, anxious, that you want to shave your head for the Open, I'm not sure if we should promote that or not. That is pretty much, it's totally normal, right? And
definitely,
if you're not feeling, you don't have to feel all of those things, especially not the head shaving, but if you're not feeling at least one or two of them, it might not actually even be right for you to do the Open.
The workouts, no matter what level you're at, there's a little bit of nerves, you know, and that's the good part.
Yeah.
If it was boring and everyone knows what's coming up and X, Y, and Z, you know, who's going to win it, all this kind of stuff, then it wouldn't be fun, right? And the fun part is it's a bit nerve-wracking. You get outside of your comfort zone, but then you walk into any class, right? And you know that there's Sharon and Karen who are 60 years old doing it.
Yeah.
There's also Ethan and Mark who we have at the gym who are 18 years old crushing it. So there's anyone and everyone, right? And you just have to just get yourself involved. The good thing about it also is you can see where you sit on a leaderboard compared to other people. So you know maybe that you're good at this movement, not so good at this movement. And it allows you to set some goals and allow some kind of foresighting going forwards, definitely.
We're going to talk next week about how to continue training for the CrossFit Open, which folks head over to games.crossfit.com, register. It's like $10 or $20, and that gets you on the global leaderboard. If you're not interested in that, you don't even have to pay to do the workouts here. There's no sort of, just because you're not registered doesn't mean you don't have to do it. The only thing you get from registration is you get a spot on the leaderboard, which again provides some people some decent motivation. Aside from that, mate, what's your advice for people? They're thinking if they want to get involved in the Open. We'll talk next week about the mainline class and just keep on getting fit through that. But how else should they maybe prepare themselves, or should they just relax?
It depends, right? It always depends. But where are they at right now? If they've never stepped foot in the gym and then they go into an Open workout, maybe it's going to be a bit too much too soon. So the best time to start is now. And just get yourself involved in some kind of ideal community, because then you're kept a bit more accountable. You're perhaps coached through it. You have other people to work around. But I mean, you can always do it by yourself. It's just tougher to motivate yourself.
It's quite interesting because that sort of person that you've mentioned there that maybe hasn't done a lot of fitness or hasn't competed, I've seen those people, they'll watch the Open the first week and then they'll realize that the scaled version of the Open, because you don't have to be doing what we spoke about last week.
No.
Right? There's a scaled version as well, which is pretty much, I mean, it's for I haven't seen anyone that's walked into our gym since the scale started 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago. 3 years ago?
Unsure.
Anyway, that hasn't been able to do the scale version. So they'll look at it the first week, there's fear in their eyes, and the next week they're like, can I try it? So it kind
Definitely right. And just because it's scaled doesn't mean you've failed it or anything like that. Like some of the scaling options are tough in a different way for sure. I mean, if anyone's done a CrossFit class and they've scaled pull-ups to ring rows, the ring rows are just as bad, if not worse sometimes. So yeah, I mean, even if you have to scale one workout, maybe you try and RX the other one.
Yeah.
Just play the game, have a good time with it.
And I think that's one of the biggest things about scale. When people look at scale, oh, it's an easy option. It's actually not, especially if it's an AMRAP, which a lot of the open workouts are. You still have to work as hard as possible. If you or I were to do an 8-minute AMRAP with a lighter weight, you would do a lot more rounds than me. I'd do a few less. We'd still end up being
on the floor,
completely smashed. So
definitely.
The message for this week's show, folks, is if you're thinking about the Open, head over to games.crossfit.com, get registered and join us. We will share more information a little bit closer to the time, when the workouts will be, what the format is, but we will host all the workouts and you will have an awesome time. Toby will catch up next week and talk about using the mainline class to make you fitter, stronger, and get those stats that we spoke about last week for the Open.